Good, good. And just musicians on.
I think maybe we can spare some minutes for questions.
Oh,
I think definitely have some questions.
okay. Testing 1, 2. Okay. 具一切众生请转。Out of compassion, Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Namo sadando suchedoye alahadi samya sambuddhosye. 无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿皆如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. 好的。师父上人，各位师兄，大家阿弥陀佛。Venerable Master, Dharma friends, welcome to our sutra lecture this evening. We are here in day number 4 of our Amitabha Session, and here at the Gold Coast Dharma Realm, it's Tuesday, December 19th here. It is 7 o'clock at night. We're going to be looking into another one of the what are called the Sutras of the Pure Land, and let's do an acknowledgement of country to say we respectfully acknowledge the Kumbameri people of the Ugambe language region as traditional storytellers and custodians of the land where our monastery is located. We pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 那就是说，我们恭敬承认有冈北语族的呼伦本阿里人是我们寺院所在地的传统叙事和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从未放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。Okay, indeed. Moving right along. And here we go. The bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000界内，佛法扬万亿国中，共训其法界和平，利益报贪恶厚德。Okay. Good indeed. Now, jumping right in. Welcome, everybody. Glad you're back. Appreciate very much the volunteers who are busily translating my English words into Mandarin Chinese and into Vietnamese. It's very wonderful that people would consider it important enough to take my English and share it with the world, opening up the probably 100 folks who will be listening in Mandarin tonight. So, one thing I didn't do beforehand, which occurred to me it would be good to do, and as I prepared, let's see here, we want Shurangama Sutra material, Shurangama Sutra, new edition. There it is right there. Okay, take a look here. On the screen, I have a copy of the Shurangama Sutra in English. We're going to look at the table of contents. Here's the whole Shurangama Sutra table of contents, and I'm going to, so we can make it nice and big here. So it's a 10-scroll sutra, 10 chapters. First thing, the Buddha asks about where the mind is. He's talking to Ananda, his disciple. They come down to using the eyes as a way to answer that question. Then there's something called the matrix of the thus come one, which is kind of like Buddha nature. They talk about that. And where, it's a real, anybody who has studied the beginning of the Shurangama, it's very intense and logical. You have to have a logical turn of mind to be able to follow the arguments, because it's the dialogue. The Buddha really presses his cousin Ananda. He just puts it right to him. And it's deep, profound. So moving on, we get into how illusions arise, then what happens in the mind when we look out at the world and everything is happening inside, but we project it outside. We think reality is out there, it's not. Then right here, number 6 out of 10, here is where there's a different conversation. Manjushri, Bodhisattva, shows up, and the Buddha says, Manjushri, I want you to go out and talk to 25 sages who got enlightened, who are already awake, and ask them, what is the best way to get enlightened? What's the best method for cultivation? He said, that's what I want you to do. And so Manjushri Bodhisattva goes out to do that, and he talks to 25 sages. In those 25 is tonight's section that I want to talk about. There's just one of those 25. Let's see, page 205. Let's go dig it out. Just to, here, I'm going to go pull here, 2005, right here. Manjushri, okay. Let's see here. Scrolling along, scrolling down. Just for what it's worth, of the 25, Manjushri picks out Guanyin Bodhisattva. Guanyin's method is the best. But among those, 24 others is, let me see if I can do it this way. Great strength. Does it show up? Yeah, there it is right there. Okay, so here is this is what I want to talk about tonight. You'll notice it's part 6, so it's just past halfway through the Shurangama Sutra, is our section. Dharma Prince, great strength. So that's to show you where it is in the whole Shurangama Sutra. Okay, we're going to look again. 50 skandha demons is the end. That's number 10. The number 9 is the different levels of being. Number 8 is the mantra itself. Number 7 is the 4 unalterable aspects of purity. And number 6, 25 sages. That's where tonight's section comes from. Okay? People clear on that? Now, let's look at it. Here it is, by golly. Make it nice and big. Okay. From Da Fo Ding Shou Leng Yan Jing, the Shurangama Sutra, Da Shi Zhi Pusa Nian Fo Yuan Tong Zhang. The Zhang, the section on Yuan Tong, perfect understanding, Nian Fo, through reciting the Buddhist name. That is to say, Pure Land practice. Amitabha, Amitabha, Amitabha. Da Shi Zhi, great strength, Bodhisattva. So there it is. That's it. Now, let's do the Chinese separately first. We'll go all the way through using our method that we talked about, where we look at the punctuation is our friend. This is where we breathe. This tells us to pause, inhale, everybody starts on the next character together. Good? Together on that? Let's, we can start at the title. Here we go, ready? 大佛顶首楞严经. Let's go together. 大势至菩萨念佛圆通章. Ready? 大势至法王子与其同论无是二菩萨，即从左起顶礼佛祖，而拜佛言：我忆往昔恒河沙劫，有佛出世，名无量光 ，breathe。12如来相续一劫，其最后佛名朝日月光。彼佛教我念佛三昧，譬如有人一转为意，一人转忘，如是二人，若风不风，或见非见，二人相异，而意念深，如是乃至从生至生，同欲形影，不相乖异。十方如来恋念众生，如母忆子。若自陶氏，虽亦何为？自若忆母，如母忆时，母自立生，不相乖远。若众生心忆佛念佛，现前当来必定见佛，去佛不远，不假方便，自得心开，如然相人，神有香气，此在名曰相望庄严。我本因缘，一念佛心，入无生染。今于此界，摄念佛人，归于净土。佛问圆通，本无选择，度摄六根，经念相继，得萨摩地，是为第一。Okay, now that's what he said, but interestingly, Manjushri did not pick this as the best one. Great Strength Bodhisattva speaks right up. He says, this is number one, this is the best one. But Manjushri goes, there's a better one. There's a better one for this place and this time and these people. Okay. Now we're going to read the English and skip over the Chinese. We'll just pick out the English from each paragraph, okay? Is that big enough? Is that big enough to read? Kandadalma, yeah, good, okay. Here we go. We'll start right here, great strength. Ready? Great strength, bodhisattva's perfect understanding through mindfulness of the Buddha from the Shurangama Sutra. Here we go. Dharma Prince, great strength, together with 52 bodhisattvas of similar rank, arose from his seat, bowed at the Buddha's feet, and said to the Buddha, I remember, as many eons ago as there are sands in the Ganges, a Buddha called Limitless Light appeared in the world. In that same eon, there were 12 successive thus come ones. The last was called Light Surpassing the Sun and Moon. That Buddha taught me the Buddha recitation, Samadhi. Suppose there were a person who always remembers someone else, but the someone else he remembers has entirely forgotten about him. If two such people were to meet, even if they were to see each other, they would not take notice. They would not recognize each other. If two people remember each other until their memory of each is deep, then in life after life they will be together like a form and its shadow, and they will never be at odds. Out of pity for living beings, the thus come ones of the 10 directions are mindful of them as a mother remembers her child. If the child runs away, of what use is the mother's regard? But if the child remembers his mother in the same way that the mother remembers the child, pause, then in life after life, the mother and child will not be far apart. If living beings remember the Buddha and are mindful of the Buddha, certainly they will see the Buddha now or in the future. They will never be far from the Buddha, and their minds will awaken by themselves without the aid of expedience. A person who has been near incense will carry a fragrance on his person. It is the same in this case. It is called an adornment of fragrant light. On the stage of formation, I used mindfulness of the Buddha to enter into patience when dharmas no longer arise. Now, in this world, I gather in all those who are mindful of the Buddha and bring them back to the Pure Land. The Buddha asks about perfect understanding. I would select none other than gathering in the 6 organs through continuous pure mindfulness to obtain samadhi. This is the foremost method. Okay. So you just recited a piece of the Shurangama Sutra. How about that? And it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's this, hey, unexpected. It's like, what's going on here? So the context is that Manjushri, following the instructions of the Buddha, went to ask 25 different enlightened beings. Oh, there's all kinds. There's bodhisattvas, there are arhats, there are spirits, and each of them tells Manjushri a different method. There's all kinds of methods, using the different sense organs, mindfulness of the Buddha, and as a footnote, the one that wins is the ear, turning the ear organ around to listen to the self-nature. That's Guanyin Bodhisattva's method. But among the 25 is a bodhisattva whose name is Da Shi Zhi, great strength. And whenever you see, let me identify him. I realize I didn't prepare. Let's see if we can go out. Here we go. We're going to look for Da Shi Zhi Pusa. Da Shi Zhi. Great strength. Where is it? Strength. Here we go. Da Shi. Coming up. Come on, Apple. You gotta have it. There we go. Da Shi Zhi. Da Shi Zhi 5. Pusa. There he is. You always see him here. This is the standard right there. This is a really traditional way. Amitabha, Guanyin Bodhisattva, and great strength Bodhisattva. This is Guanyin, and that's great strength. So he is called one of the three sages of the West. Shifang Sansheng Shi Yiwei. Here is great, that's Guanyin. Great strength. Dasaji Pusa. Here he is. There you go. Bring that up. Yeah, there he is. Da Shi Chi Pusa. That's his name. Everybody say Da Shi Chi Pusa. Are you ready for the Sanskrit? You ready? Maha Stama Prapta Bodhisattva. Mahastama Prapta Bodhisattva. Mahastama Prapta. 6 A's. Mahastama Prapta. Dashaja Pusa. Great strength, Bodhisattva. Literally, great strength that arrives, Bodhisattva, but great strength. He's got this lotus flower. So let's see, here's another. And you can think he's female, he's not. He's masculine, he's very male, Bodhisattva. Guanyin, on the other hand, is considered female. So here's great strength. And it's funny because he is pretty much unknown. People pretty much don't know much about great strength Bodhisattva, other than he's got a transformed set of vase in his head, and he's carrying a censer or a lotus, different things in his hand. But he's most often seen together with Guanyin in the company of the Buddha, Amitabha. So, okay. Manjushri says, great strength Bodhisattva, tell me how you got enlightened. Tell me your story. I want to know. So, great strength stands up in the Shurangama assembly. Call him the Dharma Prince. He's a Fa Wangzi. Together with the group, 52 bodhisattvas who are similar to him, they bow to the Buddha and say to the Buddha, okay, well, Manjushri asked me, I'll tell you. Here's my story. Years ago, in a different eon, long ago, there was a different Buddha in the world. His name was Liangguang, which is Amitabha's name. Interestingly, there were 12 successive Buddhas. The last one was called Chao Yue Guang, light that goes beyond the sun and the moon. That Buddha taught me a method called Nian Fo San Mei, the samadhi that you enter through reciting the Buddha's name. So devotion, praise, that's what he learned. Now he says, I'll demonstrate to you how it works. He says, hypothetically speaking, you got two people and they used to be friends, but the one who is being thought of does not remember the one doing the memory. And because one half of the relationship is not thinking of the other one, they could be face to face and not recognize each other. On the other hand, he says, suppose there were two people who mutually remembered each other, the power of their memory of each other would allow them to meet again, even in different bodies. So the energy of memory can transcend birth and death, can transcend reincarnation. The power of the mind remembering another person, when it's mutual, has a power to draw you back. Just like what? They will be together like a form that sheds a shadow when the light is bright. They will never, 不相乖异. They will never be far apart from each other. Okay, so, all right. And he's like, yeah, I understand that. That makes sense. Now, he says, let's look at the case with Buddhas and living beings. Because Buddhas they look at us, they look at future Buddhas, not yet Buddhas like us, and they're moved out of pity because we're a mess. We are able to kill each other for ideas. You don't understand it right. You should die, right? That kind of insanity. We all need food, shelter, water, security, and yet for one reason or another, we can deny this group what they need to live. And yet if it happened to us, we would be outraged, right? People are weird. People are strange. We're a strange species. And Buddhists go, yes, guai guai. I'm worried about you because you're so dysfunctional. And so the Buddhas have pity for living beings. But you know what? If we don't like the previous couple, one of whom didn't think of the other one, if we, these naughty children, run away, the mother might be concerned for us, but what can happen? The child, what can she do? The child just runs away. Likewise, on the other hand, right, there's always the second one. If the child remembers the mother the same way the mother thinks of the child, they too, like the couple in the previous example, will be together in life after life, never far apart. Oh, so great strength is kind of giving us, pulling the curtain back and saying, this is how relationships work. Why do we come back as a daughter of a mom, or as people, the Buddhists would tell us, sometimes we swap roles. The mother in this life becomes the daughter in the next life, but we're still related. Interesting, huh? Now comes the method. If living beings remember the Buddha and are mindful of the Buddha, we will see the Buddha now or in the future. We will be close to the Buddha, and without any other expedient means, our minds will open.
Which one's?
Be mindful of the Buddha. Great strength is telling us. He gives an analogy. Somebody who, as we just did, lights a stick of incense, that incense gathers on our person, on our clothes, and we will smell with the fragrance of incense. It is the same in this case when we recite the Buddha's name. It's called adorned with light that carries a fragrance. The conclusion, 我本因地, from the very beginning of my cultivation, 以念佛心, I was mindful of the Buddha, 入无生忍. This is the power phrase. I went all the way to irreversibility. Patience when dharmas no longer arise, that state where the world and reality as you know it breaks up, but you are still, you take one more step and you're a Buddha. You're on the path to Buddhahood. You're not. You're an 8-stage bodhisattva, but you're irreversible at that point. 金于此界, here in this world now, 摄念佛人归于净土. I am here to gather people back with this method to go to the Buddha's Pure Land. Conclusion, you ask me about perfect understanding, I have no other choice. 度摄六根, take your 6 senses, bring them back, 净念相续, recite the Buddha's name purely, do samadhi into samadhi, 四为第一. This is number 1. That's it. That's it. That's all there is to this. And so Manjushri asks him, he stands up, his group is with him, bows, tells about his past. He learned the Nianpo Sanmei, the Buddha recitation samadhi, then he explains it. Here's what it's like. Says, people have to think of each other for the relationship to connect, but if they do, it goes beyond the grave. You'll be together in the future lives. Buddhas think of us that way too. If we don't remember them, it's too sad. But if the child remembers the mom, likewise, we stay together. If we remember the Buddha and recite the Buddha's name, we will see the Buddhas. We'll never be far from them. Just the way somebody who lights incense has a nice smell about their person. I cultivated this method from the start to the end. And here I am teaching others how to cultivate this method. You want to know how I got enlightened? There's the very best way. 度摄六根经念相继得萨摩地思维第一. This phrase is really worth our investigating. I encourage people to think about what could this mean. 度 means to like pull back, to suppress, sort of, to gather in. She, you can see this character, she, is a very interesting character. That's the hand radical on the left side, and then it's got 3 ears, ear, 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 just the ear like this. It's a picture of a hand pulling the ear, pulling you in, gathering you back. 度摄, pull your 6 senses back, 6 senses, 六根. So eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Just gather them back. Use a thought and pull them back. And you don't, it's not force, it's just don't let them run away. And 经念相续, let your pure mindfulness continue, thought by thought after thought, pull them back. Your mind wants to run away and think about lunch and think about your stock prices, and pull them back and pull them back. 经念, what does it mean to have pure mindfulness? This is really worth looking into. 度摄六根经念相继, until you reach samadhi, the samadhi. That's number 1. Says Great Strength Bodhisattva. That's his answer to the Buddha and his answer to Manjushri's question. Now, interestingly, Manjushri says, very good, very good. That's not the one, though. Guanyin Bodhisattva's Argan Yentong, the perfect understanding through the ear organ, he says, is the most effective one in our world right now. How does it go? 此图真教体清净在因闻, he says. The real substance of teaching in this world is sound, he says. So I'm going to pick Guanyin's method. Okay. But there, that's Great Strength Bodhisattva's perfect understanding. So Master Yin Guang, whom I mentioned, said, you know what? That is so powerful. That makes the Shurangama Sutra a sutra of the Pure Land as well, along with the Amitabha Sutra and the other 2. There are people who disagreed with him, for what it's worth, but in the 19th and 20th century, Master Yin Guang was an important teacher. So now you know, you've seen Great Strength Bodhisattva, you've heard that part of the sutra. Yesterday, we looked into the Avatamsaka, talking about the Pure Land. And tonight we looked at Great Strength. Tomorrow, I'm going to go over both of them once again, because maybe some of you heard about those for the first time and kind of percolating some questions. Some questions are kind of bubbling up, maybe. And I want to be sure that after this week, where we're reciting the Buddha's name all day long, you will be able to say, yeah, I've heard the Amitabha Sutra, we do it every day, but I also heard about Samantabhadra Bodhisattva's practices and vows, that piece from the chapter 40 of the Avatamsaka. I've also heard about Great Strength Bodhisattva's vows, that piece. Now, interesting, this is not essential, but it's kind of my experience here. My colleague, Marty Verhoeven, the former Bhikshu Hung Chao, has a very interesting relationship with Great Strength Bodhisattva. Marty is a martial artist, has a black belt in Taekwondo, was a teacher of Taiji Chuan and Shaolin Chuan, and was Master Hua said, in fact, he was Liang Wu Di. He was the martial emperor of Liang before the Tang. Okay? And he is really a visual martial artist. And when he and I were bowing to City of 10,000 Buddhas, on several occasions, Marty visualized great strength bodhisattva showing up on the roadside to bail him out of difficult situations that required a Dharma protector. So, and he said his whole body was blazing with light, he said. I didn't see any of that. I was totally oblivious to it. But Marty says, yeah, great strength bodhisattva came. So he wrote a song about it. And Marty wrote the lyrics, but he didn't have the melody. So I put it to a melody and even recorded it. But it's his song. My Dharma friends, gather round, I'll sing to you a song about a bodhisattva whose name is Super Strong. With a burst of blazing light, he opened eyes asleep and blind, because Super Strong's Kung Fu was the power of his mind. Now, Super Strong was awesome, but his heart was solid kind. All suffering and disasters I'll end for all mankind. Evil and injustice, I'll find a way to fight. The Buddha told him, wrong, don't fight, return the light. Du she liu gen jing nian shang ji, turn the six sense borders back. Super Strong's inside you, cultivate with all your might. Pure thoughts continue, don't fight, return the light. Throughout the Dharma realm, you can hear great strength proclaim. Six senses gather back, recite the Buddha's name. Okay, so this is the Shurangama Sutra's teaching. So he gathered in his steeling eyes, his ears, his nose, his tongue, tamed his mind and body, and when the work was done, a blinding blaze of light shot forth from toe to crown, because he plugged into the source, tried his best, and laid it down. Super Strong's inside you, cultivate with all your might. Pure thoughts continue, don't fight, return the light. Throughout the Dharma realm, you can hear great strength proclaim. Six senses gather back, recite the Buddha's name. Now, Guan Yin and Amitabha with Super Strong join hands, riding vows made long ago. They roam the western land. So there we go. Now, dragons curl their tails and spirits fold their hands. Tigers crouch in corners and ghosts obey commands. Ain't no better thing to do than saving all mankind. Come to the Buddha city, bowing with a single mind. The world is ripe and waiting. Can't you see that now's the time? Come to the Buddha city, bowing with a single mind. Super Strong's inside you, cultivate with all your might. Pure thoughts continue, don't fight, return the light. Throughout the Dharma realm, you can hear great strength proclaim. Six senses gather back, recite the Buddha's name. Really a good song. I think it's definitely deserves more attention. People need to know this song and sing it more often, right? So here we go. My Dharma friends, gather round, I'll sing to you a song about a bodhisattva whose name was Super Strong. With a burst of blazing light, he opened eyes asleep and blind. Super Strong's Kung Fu was power of his mind. Now Super Strong was awesome, but his heart was solid kind. All suffering and disasters I'll end for all mankind. Evil and injustice I will find a way to fight. All the Buddhas told him, don't fight, return the light. Super Strong's inside you, cultivate with all your might. Pure thoughts continue, don't fight, return the light. Throughout the Dharma realm, you can hear great strength proclaim. Six senses gather back, recite the Buddha's name. So he gathered in his stealing eyes, his ears, his nose, his tongue, tamed his mind and body, and when the work was done, a blinding blaze of light shot forth from toe to crown, 'cause he plugged into the source, tried his best, and laid it down. Super strong's inside you, cultivate with all your might. Pure thoughts continue, don't fight, return the light. Throughout the Dharma realm, you can hear great strength proclaim. Six senses gather back, recite the Buddha's name. Kuan Yin and Amitabha with super strong join hands. Riding vows made long ago, they roam the western land. Now dragons curl their tails and spirits fold their hands. Tigers crouch in corners and ghosts obey command. Ain't no better thing to do than saving all mankind. Come to the Buddha's city, bowing with a single mind. The world is ripe and waiting, can't you see that now's the time? Come to the Buddha city, bowing with a single mind. Super strong's inside you, cultivate with all your might. Pure thoughts continue, don't fight, return the light. Throughout the Dharma realm, you can hear great strength proclaim. Six senses gather back, recite the Buddha's name. Anybody wants to sing along and join me? We'll do that chorus one more time. Super strong's inside you, cultivate with all your might. Pure thoughts continue, don't fight, return the light. Throughout the Dharma realm, you can hear great strength proclaim. Six senses gather back, recite the Buddha's name. Six senses gather back, recite the Buddha's name. Don't you think more people ought to sing that? That really does tell the story of the Shurangama Sutras. Passage on perfect understanding through reciting the Buddha's name. Great strength, Bodhisattva. Okay, Sam mentioned before we started that there are people who have questions. Any questions, Sam? Oh, he's pointing at you, you guys. Did you know you were going to be pointing? You got to ask questions. If you don't ask questions, we're in trouble. Okay, we got one question online here.
就是我能说中文吗？
可以啊。
就是我想知道，就是六根，就眼耳鼻舌身意。
我怎么听不到你的声音呢？
喂，
大声一点。Yeah, just
就是
talk right into the microphone. Okay, just go right ahead and raise your voice right up.
就是六根眼耳鼻舌身意。我之前听宣公上人讲经，他说是六根应该是有一个主要的，就说是就是那段好像就说是就是
I didn't hear what he said. Wade, can you tell me? Can you tell me what he asked? Or can you say it in English? Try English, all right?
Yeah. 就是六根，它是它的作用是会同时作用吗？六根
I didn't get it.
眼耳
六根会同时作用吗？
眼耳
同时作用为什么问那个问题了？Yeah, can you use 你如果你自己耳朵还不会用，眼睛还不太清楚了，为什么要更复杂吗？不用了，不用了。有的时候，有的人入定了，他们都会六根互用。你还没到那个程度呢，不用问了，就更复杂，更不懂。OK，
OK，
好， 还有没有什么其他问题呢？
Amitabha, two questions, but I'll ask first one. Oh, Lana?
There you go. Good.
If we have affinity with someone, or the mother has the affinity with the child, but the only one remembers, does that mean the bond is still there, but the in this life they are not connected?
It's funny. I'm having trouble. I guess it's my age. I'm not hearing
sorry.
clearly. I don't know why. It's my fault. It's not your fault. You're speaking very clearly. Can you say it again slowly and loudly?
Okay.
And I'll try my best. I actually need a hearing aid. It's true, and I didn't bring it, so it's my problem. Go ahead.
My question is,
Yes.
one of the verses talked about if souls have affinities, but then it said if they both remember, they continue to be together in the future lives.
Yeah.
But if only one remembers, then the bond, it doesn't continue. Is that correct?
So that's what it said. And I don't want to be in a position to try to defend the sutra. I'll just say, my question to you would be, how did you understand it? I just gave you how I understood it. The sutras are really like, what do they say, public domain. They're out there. There's to say this is the right understanding. No, it's how do you understand it? If you think of, let's say, Taylor Swift. Okay, here's Taylor Swift. She's, this year she brought forth the most popular tour in history, the Eras Tour. She went around and everywhere she went, 60,000 moms and daughters filled the stadium, and just Taylor Swift writes songs for me, Personally, Taylor Swift's songs don't speak to me, okay? How many young girls just wanted to grab Taylor Swift and give her a huge hug? And while she can hear their applause and their screaming, she doesn't know them. So they are thinking of her, but she is not thinking of them. Think of a political candidate. You can show your appreciation by casting their vote, but do they know you? No. However, let's say Joe Biden and his son Hunter, the American president's son, is much in the news these days because he's had a difficult life. His mother was killed in an auto accident when he was very young and in his formative, and so he became an addict, became a drug addict, and had a very difficult time. And in that case, every indication we have is that the American president is a very empathetic man. He thinks of his children and he cares about them. And so in that case, son is thinking of father, father is thinking of son. They're connected. I think it's not as difficult as we make it sound. I think it's very simple. In one case, people love Taylor Swift. She may want to love them back, but 60,000 people per stadium, it's like, so, make sense? Or was that the answer? That the question you were asking, or?
It's a good answer.
That's good? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Let's see here. Given what you have shared this evening, do you recommend one to just focus on the Pure Land practice alone, i.e. reciting Amitabha's name without the aid of expedience, or one should practice all kinds of practices if they have had the chance, reciting mantras, bowing, and repentance? I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, asking as a layperson. Without wanting to sound glib or facetious, it's whichever you prefer. There are different times in one's life of cultivation when different practices are suitable. For example, I went through 6 years in my life when I didn't talk. I did not talk. And I would talk maybe once a month when I would see Master Shenhua. Other than that, I didn't express myself verbally at all. And 6 years. And when I think back on it now, I mean, I talk all the time now. I speak in Chinese and I speak in English and I speak in French and I speak in Japanese. And at the time, silence is an extreme method, and I don't recommend it to people casually. If you really want to investigate the mind's ability to put ideas into language, being silent is a very interesting way through the back door to study that. Being silent for an hour a day, incredible practice. A day per week, really amazing. But before you do that, make sure you check with the people around you who you may be troubling, right? If you're going to increase the burden on others because you are proudly keeping noble silence, you become a pain in the neck. And so we are social beings. So at the time, that was right for me to do. Now it would not be. It wouldn't work. So to your question, should you only recite the Buddha's name? If you like, if your opportunity to do that, it's called yi men shen ru, to penetrate deeply into a single method. But I personally was never able to do that. I required multiple practices in my mind. So mantras, memorization, recitation, sacred names. I did all those different practices at the same time. Marty Verhoeven, my companion, thought that was nuts. He thought that was called false thinking. He likes to do one at a time. So it's up to you. And what I would encourage people to do is experiment. Try it out. See what works for you. And if it's not working, try something else. OK， 施法是在极乐世界的时间里。是不是阿弥陀佛只称佛10天呢？真的吗？ In the time of the question is, in the time frame of the Pure Land, is it the case that Amitabha Buddha only becomes a Buddha for 10 days? 只称佛10天了. He was only. Anybody else hear that? Is that a thing? 有这么一个说法吗? No? I haven't heard. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Haven't heard of that. I know it is the case that Maitreya Buddha is a Buddha for 3 days and 3 nights. The Longhua Fa Hui, the Dragon Flower Assembly for Maitreya is the Buddha. It's 3 days and 3 nights. So, interesting. And other Buddhas are Buddhas for eons. So every Buddha has different affinities. I haven't heard about 10 days, though. Maybe somebody can explain that to me. OK， 施法是怎么样反问文字性？是有妄想的时候提醒自己，想起那个如如不动的自性吗 ？OK， 告诉自己真我是如如不动的。OK， 这个境界呢，不是我的境界，你问的太高了，恐怕。你应该去问佛，问观音菩萨。真的，我不是说不尊重。The question is, what's the state of the returning the hearing to hear the self-nature? Here's what I recommend. That's the Guanyin method that Manjushri liked. I would recommend that you look at the section of the Shurangama and just as I responded earlier, try it out yourself. See what you think. Every time I do it, I have looked at that section multiple times, and it leaves me in the dust, honestly. It goes very quickly, like an airplane going down the runway and then taking off. And it's Guanyin Bodhisattva is explaining a state that goes into samadhi. And until I have had that state, I can't describe it for you. I can't explain it. I can appreciate it. I can look at it and go, wow, that's really a wonderful state. It's like, what is enlightenment? Well, don't ask me, because I'm not there yet. So I haven't been there. And I would be fooling you if I said I was. Okay? So the question earlier, Yao Shuai asked a question about the six sense organs. There is a state called synesthesia that is a medical condition. I have an artist friend who sees sounds and hears colors, and she's a painter, and when she paints paints these marvelous canvases of colors that you've never seen before. But that's not a normal state. And the Buddha Dharma begins with really normal states. If you reach for a fruit that is way up there in the air, you might fall. Whereas if you look at the fruit right in front of you and work with the senses that you have, 不用好高骛远, right? You want to work with what's in front of you. That's where you unpack it to go deep into normal states. You don't need a weird state to prove that you're awake, okay? So let's see here. Question came up during the lecture yesterday. Do beings stay in the lotus in Pure Land until they're almost Buddhas and go through all the bodhisattva stages in the Pure Land? Good question. So let's see here. The topic for Pure Land study that I have not explained is the 9 stages, 9 grades of lotus. And this is a detail of the Pure Land that comes from the 48 vows of Amitabha. And in the 3 sutras of the Pure Land, Amitabha goes into great detail about that. And the idea is, depending on what we do while we're in our human bodies, that tells us which grade of lotus we will be born into when we get to the Pure Land. And we still have to do all of the reciting to get to the Pure Land. But let's say you make it, you're born into the Pure Land. Which grade of lotus will you be born into? That depends on how you recited while you were in your human body. One of the beautiful things about Amitabha's vows is he says, Sangan Pupe, that doesn't matter whether you're super sharp, super bright, you're PhD material, or whether you're very happy just using your body. You're not a thinker, you're not a conceptual person. You might be in between, you might be semi-intellectual, but you don't think those ways. All 3 potential faculties, sharp, middling, and dull people, all get to the Pure Land. These vows that Amitabha, this method he created, works regardless of your intellectual capacity. Now, think about it. When the Pure Land method became so popular in China, how many people could read? How many people were considered literate who could look at Chinese characters and read? Probably 5 or 7%, maybe. That means to say 90% of the people in China at the time that the Pure Land was popularized had ever been to school. They were too busy growing food to keep their lives going. They were agrarian. It was an agrarian population. Only this tiny percentage was able to take the time away from the plow, from planting rice, to study. You had to have a lot of time to study Chinese characters. Maybe you went to school for 3 years, maybe, and then you went to go to work because you had to support your family. So this Pure Land method was super, super popular because anybody could use it, okay? Now, if you are someone who has actually in this life done a lot of harmful, negative things, you can still go to the Pure Land, but you're reborn in one of the lower grades of lotus. And in that lotus flower, you go through a long time in the Pure Land, in the lotus, before it opens. But when the time is right and your karma is purified, the lotus opens. Amitabha and the bodhisattvas do not come and greet you. That's something that happens to the higher grade of lotuses, people who are not only good in this lifetime, but also recited the Buddha's name. So the question was, do you stay in the lotus in the Pure Land until you're almost Buddhas? No, you stay in the lotus in the Pure Land until your karma allows you to emerge. Then you go through the training. Last night we talked about Pure Land as a training place where you train for your Buddhahood when you will be teaching living beings. So this is what I understand. And I sound kind of like a lawyer, you know, just telling you all these details. And definitely people want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Okay. Now, time is up, but you know what I can do? Watch this. I go click on those three dots, save chat. Saved it. All your questions that were asked tonight on the chat, I have saved them. I'll bring them up again tomorrow. If you didn't get your question asked tonight, and it's a real question, I'll be happy to answer them tomorrow. We're going to review both the Avatamsaka and the Shurangama Pure Land tomorrow, so that's coming up. Thanks for your questions. And we'll give you a chance for new questions tomorrow too. But the questions that you asked tonight that I didn't get answered, I will answer tomorrow. Okay, there are people wondering about their future in the Pure Land. No need to worry, no need to wonder, just recite. It's really joyful, you know, to have that safe place in your mind. Namo Amitofo. I can recite, and no matter what's going on in the world outside, so confusing, in my mind, that's a place of qila, of real happiness. Okay. Here's our dedication. Okay, are we ready? Don't forget, Pure Lands are made by dedication, by sending out goodness. While we're in our human body, sending it out to the future in a Pure Land. Here we go. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see, our hands and hearts can find in giving unity. May our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Yes, indeed. Okay, I've got my, let's see here. There we go. Got my bell. I'll ring the bell 3 times and people can bow. Here we go. First bow. And the second bow. And a third bow. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Here we go. Alrighty. Good night, everyone. See you all tomorrow night. Amitabha.
阿弥陀佛，请翻开149页 ，Please turn to page 149， 149页。请惭愧 ，Please kneel。弟子中的恩显是生死反复，罪障深重，轮回六道，苦不可言，尽于此世，得闻弥陀名号，本愿功德，一心成念，求愿往生，愿佛慈悲不胜爱怜摄受，弟子中等不是佛身，相好光明，愿佛实现，令我得见即见观音世子，诸菩萨众，彼世界中，清净庄严，光明妙相等，令我了了得见阿弥陀佛。南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛。南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势 势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无大势至菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨，南无清净大海中菩萨。愿我临终无障碍，阿弥陀佛，愿相应，观音甘露萨无陀，世子金台安我住，一刹那中离无着，去生悲心到莲池，莲花开后见此尊，倾听法音可了了，闻一即无，无生人不为安养如所迫，善知方便度众生，巧把尘劳为佛事，我愿如此佛子子，毕竟当来得成就。一心定力，弘扬尽乐度，释迦如来千百亿化身，遍法界诸佛。一心定力，常寂光净土， 阿弥陀如来，清净妙法身，遍法界诸佛。一心顶礼，十宝庄严度。阿弥陀如来，微尘相海身，遍法界诸佛。一心顶礼，方便胜具足。阿弥陀如来，解脱相延伸，遍法界诸佛。一心顶礼，西方安乐度。阿弥陀如来，大乘根结深，遍法界诸佛。一心顶礼，西方安乐度。阿弥陀如来，十方华旺身，遍法界诸佛。一心顶礼，西方安乐度。教行离三经，记忆正宣扬，遍法界尊宝。一心顶礼，西方安乐度。观世音菩萨，万亿至金身，遍法界菩萨摩诃萨。一心顶礼，西方安乐度。大势至菩萨，无边光智身，遍法界菩萨摩诃萨。一心顶礼，西方安乐度。清净大海中，满分而延伸，遍法界生中。南无西方极乐世界，大慈大悲大愿大力，接引导师阿弥陀佛。南无西方极乐世界，大慈大悲大愿大力，接引导师阿弥陀佛。南无西方极乐世界，大慈大悲大愿大力，接引导师阿弥陀佛。 南无西方极乐世界，万亿之金身观世音菩萨摩诃萨。南无西方极乐世界，万亿之金身观世音菩萨摩诃萨。南无西方极乐世界，万亿之金身观世音菩萨摩诃萨。南无西方极乐世界，无边光自身大势至菩萨摩诃萨。南无西方极乐世界，无边光自身大势至菩萨摩诃萨。南无西方极乐世界，无边光自身大势至菩萨摩诃萨。南无西方极乐世界，满分而言身清净大海中菩萨摩诃萨。南无西方极乐世界，满分而言身清净大海中菩萨摩诃萨。南无西方极乐世界，满分而言身清净大海中菩萨摩诃萨。皈依佛当愿众生提切大发无上心。皈依法当愿众生深入经藏，智慧如海。 皈依僧，当愿众生脱离大众，一切无碍。河南生中，个人代为父母师长激励结愿亲礼佛3拜，现在者增福延寿，过去者求生净土。阿弥陀佛。求生净土，阿弥陀佛。求生净土，阿弥陀佛。顶礼老和尚，是人一国民一岁间，如沙水鱼呀，自由乐，大众爱，大精进应尽爱，如酒头然大念无障碍，身无妨碍。阿弥陀佛。南无阿弥陀佛。南无